Alright, and hello everybody, I'm the Super27, and welcome to another Dokkan Battle video. So as of the time of recording, yesterday, we got the Worldwide Download Celebration announcement video that showed us that the Part 1 LRs are going to be a Broly who transforms into the legendary Super Saiyan, and then a Super Saiyan trio that involves Super Saiyan Goku, Teen Gohan, and Teen Trunks, who then transform into a just a standalone Super Saiyan Goku. So I figured, you know, why not? Let's go ahead and throw my hat in the ring. I'm going to try to guess what their kits could be, or just make some fun kits. You know, I always enjoy doing these, and these videos tend to do very, very well. So again, this is just pure speculation. Obviously, I'm a small Dokkan YouTuber. As of right now, I think I have 530-something subscribers. I don't have any inside information. Just want to throw that out there. So if I hit the nail on the head on any of these, I'm going to be incredibly proud. Once their kits are, like, actually revealed, if you guys want me to make a comparing and contrasting video, I would absolutely love to do that. And I'm just going to go ahead and say this right now. Right as I hit record, I saw that there was a big-ass spider in my room. And I tried to kill it, and then I took my eyes off of it, and I can't find it now. So, if at any point there's like a weird abrupt cut, or if I scream, or if I go quiet for a bit, I might cut it out, I might not, I don't even know. But if I see it, I'm preparing y'all in advance, alright? Just be forewarned. I have horrible arachnophobia. So I will scream pretty much when I see it, is what I'm warning you guys for. So, nevertheless, let's go ahead and start off with my boy BROLY, which I feel like everyone is probably the most excited for. Us getting just a standalone start of turn BROLY that transforms into the legendary Super Saiyan, which I feel like is the best case scenario. Because then he's going to be able to link if we get a Super EZA STR BROLY, or if we get Int BROLY's EZA, they'll actually be able to link with each other. Best case scenario. Best case scenario. So, it's already confirmed that his name is BROLY, and it's already confirmed that he's an Extreme Tech LR. I'm not a big fan of him being Tech. We already have two very good Extreme Tech units, that being Zamasu and the TUR Vegeta. It's not bad that he's Tech, but STR probably would have been a little bit better. Now, I know if they get, like, Super EZA BROLY, him being STR probably wouldn't be the best, because then that team would be flooded with STR units, because you'd have, like, Turles and Cell Max, but STR is definitely, when you look at villains, that is the category that is struggling the most. The one that's struggling the next amount would be Extreme Tech. Maybe even having him be like AGL might have been nice. I don't know. I just feel like giving him Tech was a little bit of a weird decision, because right now, like, Extreme Physical is probably the best off. Would I say that? Yeah, probably. Probably, because you have, like, Golden Frieza, you have Buhan, you have Super EZA Kid Buu. You have a bunch of units on that category. So, I don't know. It's just a little bit weird, I guess, that he's Tech, but I guess I won't complain too much about it. So I gave him some stats. I gave him a lot of HP, a lot of attack, but to compensate for that, I gave him a pretty low amount of defense for an LR. Again, I don't know what the actual, like, final turn stats would look like. I don't actually do the math, because I don't exactly know how it all works out. If anyone would love to show me, like, like, you know how, like, people on Twitter don't do, like, this is what this character's maximum potential is? If someone did that, if anyone in this community, I don't know if anyone would, but if someone in this community knows how to actually, like, dictate stats in that way, and could show me all of, like, my custom character stats when they were on, like, a full 200% or whatever at their maximum potential, like, full links or whatever, I would actually really appreciate that, dude. I would shout you out on, like, all my socials. I would. So, if you know how to do it, hit me up. So, for his leader skill, this is just pure speculation, but it is confirmed that he's going to be a Carnival LR. So, Carnivals, for the most part, they usually only have 200%. But we just recently saw, with the introduction of AGL Jiren, that they are kind of willing to bend the rules a little bit and give certain Carnival leaders 2 leader skills. So I'm going to hope that they give that to BROLY, because I feel like BROLY probably should have been the DFE, and then the new Super Saiyan Trio, they should have been a Carnival. But I guess if they were a Carnival, they would probably have to lead movie heroes, which would then step on the toes of the leader skill of Gogeta. And if they did Super Saiyans, well, then the other Super Saiyan Trio, their, like, main leader skill would be, like, toes would be stepping on. I don't know, I feel like they might have slightly backed themselves into a corner with that, like, having to not replace someone's leader skill, so they ultimately kind of shot BROLY in the foot, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but we can live with it. So I decided to give him movie bosses, 4 key and 200 stats, or Planetary Destruction, 3 key and 200 stats. So real quick, let's go ahead and look at what his leader skill will look like. So we have BROLY's leader skill up here, and if we look at it, it has a lot of, like, it's very top-heavy. Like, there are a lot of big contenders on here, but then once you kind of scroll down to the bottom, it gets pretty underwhelming or pretty disappointing, I guess I could say. So obviously Cell Max is, like, probably by far the best unit on this team. Like, I wouldn't even say that these two units are close in performance, but you obviously have this Broly, who's going to be one of that Broly's best linking partners. He's obviously going to have the domain. I don't think the domain would affect him. I think it's just Super Bosses category allies who get buffed by this. It might be extreme class allies, and if that's the case, he would be buffed by it, but I'm not entirely sure by that. But then if you look just a little bit further, it doesn't get much better. Again, I gave him Planetary Destruction. That way, Turles would work better, because Turles is a movie boss character who needs Terrifying Conquerors or Planetary Destruction category allies. So you can't really just run him on movie bosses. You have to run him on one of those two other categories. And even though there are several units who would overlap being on both, not all the biggest hitters you're going to want are going to be on both. Like this Broly, for example, he's on neither. So you can't really run a team setup with these two. So by giving him Planetary Destruction, you could run just a full Planetary Destruction team, and then Turles would be absolutely cooking as a floater. But you have units like Broly, Chilean Loser. This unit will almost... I'm pretty certain that this will easy A. Like, as far as I'm aware, the oldest premium unit, like summonable unit that has not easy A. This is a 2019 character. I think they're a 2020 character if you were a global player. So like, I feel like they're eschewing. I still feel like there's a very high chance this unit will easy A, especially since we're getting a Super Saiyan trio as well. Again, stay tuned towards the end of the video to see their kit. So I feel like Namek Goku is almost basically guaranteed to easy A. But then once we look at like TURs, you know, you have Frieza. This could be like the savior of Frieza's team. You have Hirudegarn. Hirudegarn would be like a great option. Like if you have the rest of the team being powerhouses, giving yourself a 70% chance to dodge unit who can get up to guaranteed dodge as a floater would probably be like really, really good. I mean, you could run Jackie Chun if you wanted to. I don't know why you would. I feel like these units all have a pretty high chance of easying. Not necessarily during the celebration, but probably sometime during this year. And as we scroll just a little bit further, I do feel very strongly that we're going to get a super easy A for these two. I really do. I feel like this would be the most hype thing Dokkan could do, would be easying this unit and then STR Gogeta. And then this would be just like the perfect linking partner for Broly if they gave him the same treatment as they do every other super easy A, which I feel like they will. Because, I mean, it's kind of crazy to think about, but like, Dragon Fist, AGL Dragon Fist, he kind of sucks compared to the other three super easy A's that we've gotten. Like, it's kind of crazy. So if they give this guy, like, the same treatment that they gave Kid Buu, or even better, Tech Gotenks, like, this team will be cooking overnight. So it definitely has potential to go from, like, a stinker team to, like, a top-tier team overnight. They always do that with these big celebrations. They just pump them full of extremely hype and extremely powerful units. But when you have so many hype units who could easy A, I mean, I feel like it's just a shoo-in to happen. So overall, I feel like this is a pretty good leader skill, and this is what I would want to see on the character. So, let's go ahead and look at his super attack. So, I gave him just kind of vague descriptions for their names. So, the Raged Rampage would be a melee. This would be the attack where he just kind of like tackles Goku. Again, this would be from the fight that they have at night, which is one of my favorite fights in the movie. I feel like it has really cool like fight choreography. I really do enjoy it. So this could have like the part where like Goku's flipping over the bed, Broly just tackles him through the wall. I think that ends with an eraser blast. I'm not entirely certain. I didn't rewatch the movie before I made this. Most of the time I rewatch the movies, or the anime or whatever arc they're from, but I didn't do that for this. I'm just going purely off of memory. So that's kind of like the idea that I would have in my head. He would stack attack, raise defense for one turn, and then he would do colossal damage to the enemy, and then he would lower the enemy attack. And then for his 18 key, this would be the Eraser Barrage, which would be a key blast. This is right after he licks the blood off of his lips. They're floating over the lake, and he just shoots out a bunch of key blasts all at the same time. Again, he would stack attack, but he would greatly raise defense this time for one turn, cause mega colossal damage to the enemy, and then have a 50% chance to stun. So he has pretty powerful super attack effects. He's stacking them both, which will be huge later on, and then giving himself 30% defense or 50% defense respectively. Being able to debuff is really good, especially this unit launches a bunch of additionals. There are a lot of tough bosses where you're able to debuff them either early on or late into fights. That's going to be incredibly crucial in a lot of them. And then stunning, it's nice, like Super Battle Road, or again, there are certain events where you are able to stun pretty deep into them, like Red Zone Movie Boss Rush. You're able to stun all the way up until Janemba. So like you could get a lot of usage out of that, protecting some of your weaker characters that teams like movie bosses just inherently have, because they haven't been getting like so many buffs in a long time. Like we've been getting big headliner units like Cell Max, but we haven't been getting like a ton of easy A's necessarily for the category. You know what I'm saying? So for his passive, it is the Deep-Seated Revenge. So From his first appearance, he would get 88% damage reduction, launch an additional with a 70% chance of being a super, and then he would launch just a guaranteed additional super, so just for one turn. He gets 3 ki and 200% attack and defense at the start of turn. He gets an additional 50% attack and defense when he performs a super. He has 8% damage reduction. He gets an additional 8% damage reduction for 3 turns per super attack performed. He launches 2 additionals, each that have a medium chance of becoming a super. If all allies in the rotation are either movie bosses or planetary destruction, or if there is an enemy whose name includes Goku, he gets a 50% chance to crit. He has a 50% chance to nullify melee supers targeted at this character, and then he transforms when his conditions are met. So if you saw my custom GT Goku video, the part about him building up damage reduction shouldn't be much of a surprise. I kind of robbed that idea from that character. I gave it a little bit of a buff. We haven't seen that on a character. Like, we've seen characters who get damage reduction for 1 turn when they get hit. We have seen people, like, lose damage reduction as the fight goes on, gain damage reduction as the fight goes on, but never an ability sort of like this. And I feel like it would be fun. It would make him a little bit more risk-reward or whatever, but everybody knows that a lot of this community loves seeing big attack stats, and they love seeing their units do a bunch of supers. So I figured, why not, like, really feed into that? Let's make a character who you want to go full additional into, because you don't really need to give them crit if you're running him on one of his 2 teams. You don't need to give him crit because he's got a 50% chance to do it anyway. And you're just going to want to really get that chance to get as many supers as possible. Because additional normals, not only are you not getting stats, you're missing out on damage reduction. But the part of that kind of makes up for it is that it's 3 turns. So let's say 1 turn you only get like 2 supers, for example. You get 60% damage reduction for 3 turns on top of the 8% that you already have built in baseline. So if you have 1 turn where you only launch 1, but you still have the 16 from the prior turn, that would be what, 16, 24, 32? You'd have 32% damage reduction. So even worst case scenario, you're still going to have a hefty amount of it, but he's launching so many additionals at the start of the fight, and he has so many built in just straight into his passive. If you give this guy a hidden potential system, it's pretty much guaranteed to have one with the amount of attacks that he has. And once we look a little bit deeper towards his active skill, you're really going to want to be getting super attacks as fast as possible, because that is actually how I restricted his transformation condition. Is there anything else that I really need to talk about? I mean, obviously, having like a Goku, it makes sense, because, you know, his whole point is getting back at Kakarot, because he associates Goku with the assassination attempt from him, because he's a deep character. He was well written. I hate when people just say he hates Goku because he cried. No, Goku was crying right before he was almost assassinated, and then his planet blew up, all within 30 minutes of each other. He associates all those negative emotions with the sound of Goku crying. It makes sense. It actually is good writing. I hate how people say that Broly's a poorly written character. The melee nullification is actually from the same fight that I've mentioned a few times. It's when they're floating over the lake. Goku punches him in the jaw really, really hard, makes his lip bleed, but he just kind of like looks back at the camera and he licks his lip. I would love to see an animation like that. Like, they could do kind of what they did with Tech Gogeta, where it's just like a punch animation hitting him in the forehead, but it could like actually move Broly's head, and then he could slowly turn back to the camera and then lick his lips, and then you could see the 0 show up. I think that would go so hard. That'd be like the rawest nullification in the game. Just gonna throw that out there. That'd be so cool. Again, I love Broly. This is probably one of my favorite Dragon Ball movies, but I like it so much more before he goes Legendary Super Saiyan. I really do. That it's a short little scuffle. It maybe lasts 2 minutes, but I love it. That's genuinely like my favorite part of the movie. So as much inspiration as they could draw from that short little section, I would love to see. Because again, you know, we don't really get to see blood in Dragon Ball anymore, so also kind of getting to see that would be pretty cool. But enough of me just gawking or whatever. Let's go on and talk about his active skill. Because it was confirmed that he's going to transform via an active skill. Again, it wasn't any details of turn restrictions or what the conditions would be. So I just called it Awakening a Monster, which can be performed when 6 or more super attacks have been performed, or the 6th turn from first appearance. So you might be wondering why I said 6th turn, when we've been complaining for the 5th turn from start of rotation. Last year during the Worldwide Download Celebration, the 5th turn from first appearance started with Vegito and Zamasu, and I could genuinely see them making that condition worse. Because so many fights are depending on like how your opening rotations are, or how you want to be able to maneuver characters, and I could see them just pushing back these incredibly powerful abilities. I really could realistically see that. Like, I'm not trying to be like a doomsayer saying like, oh, they're gonna just keep like us from having our fun with these really super powerful characters. But they do kind of have a little bit of a track record of that, of kind of withholding some cool stuff behind some really stupid walls. But I feel like this character, even if you did get stuck in the base form, you would still be getting a lot of value out of the character because they're just going to be doing so much damage. At the start of the fight, they can go into slot 1, and then it's kind of depending on your super RNG whether or not they can go into slot 1 or slot 2, so they're going to be a little bit inconsistent in that way, but they are going to be stacking, so they're going to just be going through events so quickly. And they do have the alternate condition, which is just perform 6 super attacks, which they can technically do if you get them on turn 1. They can do it on turn 3, and allow me to explain how. So at the start of turn, let's say you launch your 18 key. That is 1. It's their first appearance, so you have a guaranteed additional with a 70% chance of being a super. That is 2. Then you launch just a guaranteed one, which is 3. They are then launching 2 guaranteed additionals that each have a 30% chance of being a super, so that's 2 more right there. And then you have your hidden potential system. So if all of those are supers, I know that's not the most common thing out there, but if all of those are supers, you can transform with this kid on turn 3. Now, potentially, you know, you'll get some bad luck. Those 30% won't hit. Like, stuff like that can happen. But by turn 5, you basically should be guaranteed to do it. I just threw the start of turn from 6 thing because I really, like, genuinely, I could actually see that being a restriction or just flat out, like, turn 10. Like, when I made all of my Dragon Ball Saga characters a while ago for Golden Week, because I thought that's what Golden Week could be, I put all of the restrictions that, like, their active skills or their standbys or whatever happened on turn 7, because obviously the 7 Dragon Balls just kind of made sense. But I really could see them, like, constantly pushing back these milestones for us to get these super powerful abilities, because they want the start of the fight to matter, so that if you, like, have a rough start, you're not going to be able to finish the fight. It doesn't matter how powerful your team is. If you get Broly stuck in slot 7, same thing with, like, Tech MUI, or if a unit gets locked and they're not able to use their domains or whatever, you can get screwed over, and that's kind of what they're doing. They want you to get screwed over as much as possible, so getting to the pinnacle of these units' power is pretty difficult. So yeah, I feel like it might not be too hard. Maybe 6 super attacks is a bit much. We could lower it down to 5, but I figured 6 was fun just because I love the whole Broly's the devil motif. That's why you'll see 6s all throughout his passive. There's also a lot of 8s and 16s because he's from movie 8. So obviously there's a lot of 8s because movie 8, or 16s for the exact same reason, because 8 plus 8 is 16. And then there's also a lot of 6s because, you know, Broly is the devil, and I just think that's a little fun thing, a little fun, little goof gaff, you know, a little hee hee, whatever. But yeah, so that's how he transforms. Those are the conditions. Now for his links, I, yet again, have opted to give a custom Broly big bad bosses. This might be Cope, but with it being a brand new name character, you know, because I don't think we've ever gotten just a standalone this Broly in the game, so it could I mean, I think there's a physical SR that you can get from one of the story mode events, but we don't have to talk about that. I have hope. This kid's gonna have big bad bosses, so I gave him the Saiyan Warrior Race, Berserker, the Saiyan Lineage, big bad bosses, Prepared for Battle, Hardened Grudge, and then Legendary Power. So he has a very good, just like generic Saiyan link set, but also big bad bosses would help him to be able to link with all of these villains that you're going to want to be linking him with. Because that's one of the big issues with, like, Broly characters, because they have super class link sets, but they're on extreme class teams. Like, outside of Broly, like, I don't think, I mean, Turles probably would have, like, Saiyan Warrior Race and the Saiyan Lineage and stuff. And a lot of units have Prepared for Battle. Not a lot of units have Hardened Grudge. It's literally just, like, Legendary Super Saiyan Brolys and Paragus units, so it's actually a not half bad link. I think it's like 10% attack and defense and 5% crit chance or something. I don't know what it is off the top of my head. It's not bad. Like, if you were able to proc it consistently, it would be a nice buff, but unless we get super easy a STR Broly, we're not going to be seeing it on a unit like this, but he's basically guaranteed to have it. So overall, I feel like his link set probably won't work too well on a villain lineup, which is a little bit of a shame, but we can make do with that. And then for his categories, he actually has a lot of categories, surprisingly. Planetary Destructions, Inhuman Deeds, Movie Bosses, Pure Saiyans, Full Power, Target Goku, Exploding Rage, Legendary Existence, Super Saiyan, Power Beyond Super Saiyans, and then Transformation Boost. You might be asking why I gave him Super Saiyan. I'm not entirely certain if he's going to go into his blue hair form or not. In the card art, I know that this is just a still that I took off of Twitter. I know it's cropped horribly, and that's why I have, like, the weird energy background to kind of fill up the void a little bit. But in, like, the card art's animation, you actually do see his hair go blue in the transformation, which is like his power restricted Super Saiyan state, which looks so cool, by the way. Again, I love the original Broly movie. So there is technically like a chance, because he could go into his Super Saiyan state in some of his like super attack effects, or maybe some of his animations, they'll actually be able to do that. I don't know. Again, I don't know. This is just pure speculation. It would be nice if he were on Super Saiyans, but if he wasn't, it's not going to be the biggest loss ever. But then let's go ahead and look at his transformation transformed state. So this is now the legendary Super Saiyan Broly. His new 12 key will be the Brutal Lariat, which will be a melee. He will greatly raise attack and raise defense for 1 turn, cause colossal damage to the enemy, and then greatly lowers enemy attack. This is the attack where he just holds out his 2 arms and he just runs pretty much in a straight line, and he just tackles Goku and Piccolo, just add a spin onto it so that you could throw the unit towards the screen on your phone. That would be perfect. I could see that being like a red zone attack, and a lot of people just losing constantly to it. I feel like that would be fun. And then the Gigantic Meteor, which is an other, he would massively raise attack and greatly raise defense for 1 turn, mega colossal damage to the enemy, and then he gets a guaranteed stun. This is the attack that he actually does in the Int TUR, where they just like pick him up, throw them into the wall, and then just like shoot a big key blast right in their face. I feel like just getting like that reanimated, even though it already looks really good, just getting a new updated version of that I feel like would be pretty fun. That's pretty iconic. That's one of his more iconic attacks, I guess we could say. There's also like a lot of other things they could potentially draw from, but I feel like those would both be pretty fun. So his new passive skill is, "Am I a freak? No, I'm the devil." I think I butchered the quote, but I think that's what he says, or it's something adjacent to it. So from his first turn, he gets the target mechanic, so all enemy attacks get targeted towards his character, and he gets immune to stuns and seals for 1 turn, which is huge on a character like this, because with all the attack, all mechanics outside of Gogeta, if like Beast gets hit by a stun, yeah, cool, he's getting all that extra crit, he's getting all that extra attack. He's not going to be able to take advantage of it because he's stunned. The same with Cell Max. Cell Max, if he gets hit with a super, he gets a guaranteed additional super. But if he gets stunned or sealed, he can't take that advantage of his passive. So this Broly, he's not getting any stats when he gets hit, like, from the standby itself. He gets stats elsewhere from getting hit, but he's just pretty much just making sure that he gets to do his supers on his first turn. And I feel like that's actually pretty powerful with not being too overpowered. And again, it's also a target all mechanic which will protect weaker units on the team. So you can kind of be strategic with how long you want to stay in the base form. Because if you notice, he's no longer stacking in this form. He's greatly raising attack and defense for 1 turn on the 12 key. And then he's getting a 100% boost to his attack and 50% boost on his defense on the 18 key. Whereas in its base form, he can stack. So there are some mind games, like how long do you want to stack into this character? When do you want to transform? Because you don't want to waste that target all mechanic. So you could maybe greed out some stacks in its base form, or you can go ahead and just shotgun into this, because this is a much more powerful form. I love mind games with that, where like there's not really a right or wrong answer inherently. It's just kind of how the fight goes that'll really portray when you want to transform with him. So he gets 6 ki and 266% attack and defense at the start of turn. He gets an additional 66% attack and defense when he performs a super. He gets 88% damage reduction, but he loses 16% damage reduction with each turn that passes. That is the Golden Frieza effect. That is the AGL Angel SSJ3 Goku effect. Passive, part of the passive that I actually am not too fond of, and you'll notice I actually didn't put a cap to it. So theoretically, this unit can lose all of his damage reduction. But that probably won't happen because of this part of his passive right up here. So he gets 8% damage reduction for 4 turns per super attack that he performs. So, again, that's pretty much the exact same ability he had in his base form, except he gets it for 1 extra turn. So if you floated him off for whatever reason, he would still have all that built up. So in his first turn, he's going to have the 88. And then on his next attacking turn, he would lose 32%. So he would go all the way down to 56. But if you launch such a bunch of additionals, you can actually outpace the reduction loss as long as you're getting super lucky and you're launching all of your additional supers. And I made sure to pack this guy full of additional supers. That's also another reason why I made him immune to stunning and sealing, because you kind of have to, like, as soon as you transform it as a Broly, the ball's got to get rolling. You got to start launching your supers or else you're going to kind of get screwed over. So he does get the 8% damage reduction for 4 turns per super attack performed. He launches an additional with a 70% chance of being a super attack. He launches an additional super attack within the same turn after this character receives an attack. He gets 20% attack and defense up to 100% per super attack that he performs. He gets 8% chance to crit up to 88%, and a chance to launch an additional super attack plus 10% up to 100% with each attack received. He launches an additional super attack when the rotation is either movie bosses or if there is a Goku enemy, and then he nullifies Ki Blast super attacks targeted at this character. I feel like I made him maybe a little bit too busted. If you're comment, like, all the super attacks he's performing, all the stats that he's getting, all the damage reduction that he is getting, he might be a little bit busted. So fights that are going to stun or seal are going to really affect this guy, but at least for his first turn, he's going to be able to launch a bunch. So how many super attacks in 1 turn can this guy perform? Okay, all right, everyone get your fingers out. We're going to count, all right? So you launch the 18 key right there. and I'm just skimming through the passive. So he launches a additional with a 70% chance of being a super, so that is 2. If he gets attacked, that is 1 right there, so that is 3. If the full rotation is movie bosses, that is 4, and after he gets hit 10 times, that's 5. So, and then you add on your hit and potential system, that's 6. So potentially this kid can launch up to 6 super attacks within the turn, having an 88% chance to crit, and essentially this kid's going to be untouchable, always being close to 88% damage reduction. This guy's going to be able to do what Angel SSJ3 Goku does on turn 1. This unit will be able to do that on turn 6, turn 7, turn 8, turn 9, turn 10. He's going to be able to do what Topo does, but just better, because while Topo is always going to be losing damage reduction, this Broly is always going to be gaining damage reduction. So again, if he launches 6 supers right there, 6 times 8, that is 48%. You are able to outpace the damage reduction loss if you're doing that many. You only need to launch 4 supers to gain back what you lose. And then obviously you have the leeway of the hidden potential system and everything like that. Again, you want to like give as much additional into this character as possible. And I feel like that would be a fun new unit that we haven't really seen before. Where giving them crit or even dodge would actively hurt this character because he needs to get hit to get like the crit and the damage reduction. Now granted, those can proc whenever, but he's essentially needing to be hit 11 times to be fully built up, and this is deep into a fight, so that might be hard, but he does have the target all mechanic. So if you have a boss like turn 7 who launches 9 attacks in a turn, all of those are going to hit this Broly, and that's going to build him up super quickly by doing so. So I feel like he's a fun design. I feel like I really cooked with this. Let me know if you think it's a little bit broken, but we could use a couple of broken units with how difficult some of the fights have been. I just hope that a unit like this want to make power creep go way, way higher. I don't think that this inherently would, like, dominate the game. And I mean, it would obviously dominate the game, but I don't think it would, like, eclipse what other units are doing necessarily. Because he could still get caught in his base form, and the rest of his team does struggle a little bit. He would pretty much be untouchable. But, like, all it would take is on his second appearance getting stunned, and then all of a sudden you start to get into a little bit of trouble. So there are some mind games with him. Again, I feel like he would be fun. He would just be a unique little playing experience to have a unit like this. And he also has an active skill in his transformed state. This is the scene where he blows up the planet. He says the badass line where he goes, "Oh, I bet you think that this is just a nightmare. Well, it was just a dream." So this is just where he turns around and he just flicks a big ki blast into the sky. He's in front of like all the little people that he has enslaved on the planet, and he just watches as, boom, blows up their planet. Super badass little moment, which can be performed upon entering his next attacking turn. So very easy restriction right there. Temporarily massively raises his attack, causes ultimate damage to the enemy, and then planetary destruction category allies get 88% attack for 2 turns. So not only is that's just going to help speed blitz so many fights, but there are some mind games to this that I do want to acknowledge because I feel like someone might call it out in the comments. This is a unit who is super easily going to be speed blitzing, but if you're doing too much damage, you're not going to be able to recuperate all of your damage reduction. So there might be a chance where this unit does so much damage that he's not able to do all of his supers, and therefore you might have to have him in slot 1, and he's going to have way less damage reduction than you might expect. And I feel like that could happen super easily on a team like movie bosses, where you're going to have Dragon Ball Super Broly, you're going to have Cell, Max, you're going to have this unit, potentially all the like Easy A's and Super Easy A's are going to be coming along here. So I feel like he might seem broken, but there are counterplay that the bosses could do that could potentially wall this guy out. And that might also make it that you don't want to stack a bunch with this guy. Because if you get a bunch of stacks with him, all of a sudden you might one-shot a phase and only do 2 super attacks, and then you're in a damage reduction deficit, potentially. So it could be a little bit dicey. Could be. His links stay the exact same, and his categories would obviously stay the exact same. So let me know what you think about this Carnival Broly. If this unit was like to drop in the game on the 27th, would you summon for him? Would you spend your stones on him? Or do you think that he's a little bit wonky, potentially a little bit too risky, or not really like your play style? Let me know what you think about him. But let's go ahead and dive into the brand new Super Saiyan trio. So this is Goku, Super Saiyan Teen Gohan, and Super Saiyan Teen Trunks. They were confirmed to be a super physical LR, which I also feel like is a little bit of a weird addition. Like, they could have been AGL, because we just got Gogeta at the start of the year. And like, they're a movie bosses character. I can't think of any good movie hero characters that are AGL, really, outside of just like the Krillin and 18 unit. So I feel like they could have given us an AGL unit, or like maybe even an INT unit to help movie heroes. out just a little bit. I mean, I guess the Gammas are in, so maybe not that, but like even Tech, because, you know, Orange Piccolo doesn't really like thrive as much anymore. I don't know. I feel like the typings were a little bit weird. This just like, I don't know why, but I saw this unit and I just immediately thought of like God Goku. You'll see the God Goku inspiration in his passive, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's go ahead and look at this character's stats. So I gave them a lot of attack and a lot of defense, but to compensate for that, I gave them a lower attack stat than normal. Again, if anyone knows how to actually work out the math for this and can show me the potential of all these characters, I would love to see that. I really would be appreciative if you did it over on Twitter. I would retweet you at you, or I would shout you out here on the YouTube community page, which I've been using a lot more recently. If anyone knows how to do it, or if you could just teach me how to do it myself, because I don't know if you would just get like the attack stat and multiply that by 4 for the 200%, and then you would just multiply it by all the buffs in there. I guess that's what it would be, but I don't know the exact in and out, so potentially I gave this guy like horrible stats. I don't know. I know the HP is really good, so at the bare minimum, he would have a lot of HP. And again, they were confirmed to be a Dokkan Fest exclusive, so that they have the 3 leader skills here. So I think the best leader skill for a team like this would be Super Saiyans, Earthbred Fighters, or All Out Struggle, 3 key and 170 to stats, plus the additional 30%, excuse me, to movie heroes or final trump card. So real quick, let's go ahead and look at their leader skill. Oops. Alright, so we have their leader skill up here. So if we look at it, this is yet again another category that's like very LR heavy. Because once we get a little bit further down, like towards the TURs, it does get a little bit dicey. So obviously you have the Beasterizer, so just having Beast on your team inherently makes you like one of the best units in the game. The Gammas are one of the best supporting units in the game. Gogeta is one of the best floating units in the game. This would actually be a pretty good floating partner, because he would be able to create his own orbs. He can't go into slot 1 or anything anymore, but he could do just a lot of damage. So if you needed a 6th unit, this would be a pretty good pick. These units are technically still runnable. They're very dicey, but I don't think this team has a better revive character. So if you needed a revive, you could run the GT Duo, or if you wanted some more nuking potential, you could run these guys as well. Orange Piccolo, even though it's not super bosses, you would have to wait till turn 6 to use the Orange Piccolo transformation. You could theoretically still do something along those lines. Vegito, again, I like this unit, I feel, a lot more than the rest of the community, but even I have to admit, I don't think that they're going to be very good moving forward. And then once you get to, like, TUR, it's like, you have Dragon Fist. Dragon Fist is good, but definitely is a dodge or die. Majunior, I feel like his time in the sun is definitely, like, worn out. I don't really think people cope for Majunior anymore. I don't know, but if you do cope for him, I am sorry. It is time to move on. He was a god. Let's just let him be the god of 2023. Let's just leave him there. Let's just leave him there. God Goku is kind of the same thing. I'm not a big fan of God Goku in this meta. He's too reliant on orbs that other units need, and he gets hit like twice and you're dead. Same thing with like Path to Power. I was huge in Path to Power, but like I'm not the biggest fan of them anymore. This side banner unit, Piccolo, actually, would probably still be good, because he just has guard and damage reduction. Like, he's not going to be like a slot 1 tank or anything, but he would be a good floater, for sure, for sure. These units will probably EZA or sub-EZA during the celebration. I could certainly see that. You do have access to, like, my darling Kefla and this bitch right here. He sucks. And then I'm trying to scroll down a little bit for, like, super EZAs. There's not as many outside of, like, Gogeta. But I feel like, again, if they super EZA Janemba, they have to super EZA Gogeta, and I feel like that would be the best thing. Now, the only problem that I have with this leader skill that I have devised is that Namek Goku is only on a 170. He wouldn't be on a 200%. And I do feel like he would EZA during the celebration. It's really weird that he is not on final trump card. Even though he has, like, the Angry Kamehameha, which I would say was a final trump card. Whereas, like, I don't know, like, are we saying that the revive gives you final trump card? Like, what do you do that's any different? You shoot a Kamehameha at the end and you win the fight. That's not much more final trump card than Namek Goku. You just absorb a Spirit Bomb, but, like, I guess that's a final trump card. But the Angry Kamehameha, is it? We're not counting that? I don't know. I don't know. So I'm not as fond of this leader skill, believe it or not. Outside of, like, these 3 units right here, a lot of these other units, I can't say that I'm the most confident in. Like, they're not bad, but I wouldn't, like, actively be like, oh, yeah, I'm super confident saying, like, Kefla would be a god on this team. Gotenks would be a god on this team. I mean, these 2 EZAs could potentially be, like, really, really good. But the team could potentially run into, like, just some team building issues. Like, if you're going to be running these units anyway, why wouldn't you just run superheroes, and then you could get access to a unit like SSBE and AGL MUI? Because the extra units that you're getting from, like, Earthbred Fighters, for example, aren't very great right now in this current meta. Same thing with like Super Saiyans. Like you could get like Vegeta, TUR Vegeta. He would be on a 170 on here, and I feel like that would probably be fine because he's just like a Tech Ultimate Gohan. Like he's gonna be good. You don't need to have him on a full like 200%. So a lot of units would be on this team that aren't just showing. This only shows people who would be on this exact leader skill like fully. But I don't know. Let me know what you think about the leader skill, and let's go ahead and dive right on back into the kit. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into their super attacks. Now, the super attacks for these characters, I'm assuming, have to be Dokkan original animations. If you go back and watch the fight, these guys actually don't do anything. As far as I am aware, I might be wrong, because there's a part of the fight that I'm thinking of where Broly's just standing on a pyre. I'm pretty sure Trunks, Piccolo, and Gohan are all attacking him at the exact same time, and he's just weaving his head, and he doesn't get hit a single time. Goku really doesn't even get that many hits on him until the very end of the movie, where he just, you know, it's like, all right, runtime of the movies, we got 5 more minutes in the movie, all right. Goku, talk to him, wrap this sumbitch up, and then he just one punches him and it's over. So I feel like they're gonna have like completely original animations, which would be fine. So I didn't really know, like, what to give them. So, if, like, the super attack effects aren't the most, like, awe-inspiring, I apologize. So, for the 12 key, I just did Desperate Cover Fire. I have an idea, like, what this could be. It could be, like, Trunks flying up into the air, knocking the enemy down, and then Goku and Gohan could do, like, a bunch of key blasts. And it could finish with, Trunks doing, like, a big bang attack or a burning attack. Something along those lines, where it would just be, like, a really desperate onslaught of just trying desperately anything to keep this guy down on the ground. So if you're not the biggest fan of that, that's fine, but I think that would be like a pretty cool animation, just getting to see like some diverse stuff like that. They would actually stack defense on their 12 key, cause colossal damage to the enemy, and they would have a high chance to seal. And then for the 18 key, I did the Kamehameha, Senko, and Burning Attack combo. Now again, you could see like there's a lot of animation potential for this, where you could have Goku and Gohan trying to do some sort of a distraction, and then Trunks can come in from behind, like, again, knock him down to the ground, and then all 3 of them launch their most iconic attacks at the target at the same time. I feel like would be fun. I don't think that they would just do, like, some generic beam or some generic beatdown. I feel like there would be some spice, because these have to be, like, original animations, because there's nothing from the source material that they can really draw from. So I feel like something like that, again, just getting all their most iconic attacks out there at the same time would be so cool. I don't think we've seen that in any media either. So the effect for this one would be to greatly raise defense for 1 turn, cause mega colossal damage to the enemy, and then greatly lower enemy defense. I actually flip-flopped what this unit does and what the BROLY does. So the BROLY on the 12 key lowered attack, whereas this unit on the 18 key is lowering defense. Then this unit on their 12 key has a high chance to seal, whereas the BROLY had a high chance to stun on the 18 key. I like when they do stuff like that, where the units kind of parallel each other, or they echo each other, but in different ways. I always find that fun, and I like coming up with unique ways to kind of weave that into my own characters. I'm just really quick looking for the spider. I thought I saw movement. Again, if I scream at any point, I'm not shitting you guys. There is like a big-ass spider somewhere in my room. And I'm very worried it's going to crawl on me. So, again, just be prepared. Be prepared. I don't know. Has anyone ever seen my spider incident video? I know that's an old one, but it was when a spider attacked me while I was live on stream. I made a video out of it because it was funny. Anyway, back to Dokkan. So their passive skill would be the Desperate Fight for Survival. They would have an entrance animation, which would happen only once. I would just imagine this is all 3 of them, like, powering up, or potentially it could be, like, it could start off with Vegeta saying, like, there's no hope, there's no way that we can beat them, and then these 3 warriors step up to, like, try to oppose them, you know. I feel like that would be something cool that could happen, like, you know, like, them trying to hype themselves up. It would be cool. I don't know. There's a lot of potential that they could do with this, because, again, it's all going to be unique animations, but that would be really cool. If you saw, like, Piccolo and Vegeta are talking, you know, Piccolo just drops Vegeta and he falls limply to the ground, and then these 3 guys just all power up, like, you could see Trunks' top blow off, because I think he does that in the BROLY movie. That might be the BoJack movie where he powers up and it blows up his jacket, but I think it might be this one, because he's not wearing a jacket in the card art. They could do something like that, it'd be fun. I don't know. So that would be their animation. And then all superclass allies would get 20% attack and defense, and 8% chance to crit for 3 turns from this unit's first appearance. They would get 250% attack and defense at the start of turn. They would randomly change a certain type of key sphere, physical excluded, to rainbow key spheres when there is an extreme class enemy. They would reduce damage received by 16% per superclass category ally attacking on the turn. They would get an additional 59% defense, and be super effective against all types for 3 turns when they receive an attack. They would guard all attacks, I don't know why my voice cracked there. Did y'all hear that? That was embarrassing. Someone flame me for that in the comments. They would get 1 key up to 8, and 16% attack and defense up to 128% per attack performed. So pretty much 8 attacks and they're fully built up. They would launch 2 additionals, each with a medium chance of being a super attack. They would have a high chance to launch an additional super attack. And then Super Saiyans, Earthbred Fighters, or All-Out Struggle category allies get 40% defense for 2 turns when this unit collects key spheres. So I wanted this unit to be much more of like a support role. You know, because we already have units like Beast Gohan, and all these like really big heavy hitters on a team like movie bosses. Now, I know I'm saying that, but I gave this unit like a bunch of super attacks, so potentially this unit, again, let's count it out. You launch the 18 key, and then they're launching 2 additional, so you could potentially get 2 extra supers right there. And then if the 50% chance of being 1, that would be 4. Your hidden potential system, that would be 5. So potentially you could get 5 supers on this character, but I didn't give them any attack raising in their passive, like on their super attack. So they would just be getting defensive raises. And you might be looking at it and say it's a little bit weird that they stack on the 12 key as opposed to the 18 key. But I feel like I kind of wanted to do something, give this character a little bit more of a niche. Because since they get so much key in their passive 8 key, it's going to be really hard to just deliberately aim for 12 keys or 17 keys on a character like this. So by giving them a little bit of leeway, since they are doing no damage, and they're going to have very low damage reduction, only 32% if you're running them on a full team, and guard, like 32% damage reduction and guard, I've been on the record saying this so many times, that's really not enough. Like they really can't go into slot 1, and they could certainly get caught by super in some of the other slots. So I felt like giving them a higher chance of survival by giving them defensive stacking like somewhat consistently, because none of their attacks are like guaranteed. So it's not like you're going to be every single turn you're going to be getting 5 supers, greeting out a bunch of stacks. That's not going to happen realistically. But I feel like that was a little bit well designed. I like the passive where they're just buffing all superclass allies, and then on top of that, they're giving defensive support to their 3 main leads. So as long as you're running them as your leader, your whole team is going to be getting 40% defense for 2 turns, which does stack. So you have one of these guys in each rotation. That's essentially 80% extra defensive support for the rest of the fight, as long as you don't transform them. I feel like that's just a pretty like well-rounded character that fits pretty well on a lot of these teams, because so many of our teams, again, they can just speed blitz. Like, if you look at superheroes, again, most of those turns are done in, like, 2 turns, you know? There are people who are able to beat Frieza and Goku in 2 turns. A unit who has 100 million HP, and I think it's like 20 million defense or something along those lines. They're able to two-phase that, because it takes 10 hits because of their damage threshold. You have to do 1/10 of the unit's health, or else it doesn't do anything. But we have units that can speed blitz a fight like that. So having a little bit of a slower unit where you're able to kind of slow your roll, so other units on your team who need to get stacks, or who need to get hit, who need X amount of turns to activate, by having a unit that's naturally going to be doing less damage, while still giving a lot of support and a lot of just buffs to the team as general. Like, you're going to be doing decent chip damage unless there's a damage threshold. This unit would not be able to cross damage threshold, even with their super effective against all types. I wouldn't imagine it, but they are also orb changing. Like, this would just be another generic orb changer. Not quite as good as Gogeta, because Gogeta, he just randomly orb changes every single turn. This unit, you have to specifically be going up against an extreme class enemy. And right now, the meta that we're in has a bunch of super class enemies, which I'm all for. But I imagine with the celebration, we're going to get a new red zone or a new difficult fight where we're going to actually be fighting the brand new Broly. So having a unit that would just naturally be a little bit better in it and help support the rest of the team, I feel like was a very good fit for a unit like this. And you might notice that I said that this unit transforms. Amatsu didn't say anywhere in the video if they are a standby character, or if they're an active skill transformation, or if they just passively transform. So I imagine that they're going to be a standby. And because they were a standby, I got to, you know, some of my custom videos, I get a little bit wacky. I break the rules a little bit. We get to have fun here. So I gave this character a very unique standby, to say the least. But their standby skill is the last hope to demolish a demon, which can be performed from their 6th turn from their first appearance, or if HP is 66% or less at the start of turn. So again, like if you got this guy on turn 1, it would be all the way until turn 7 that you're able to do this just generically. Or if you enter the turn at a low HP threshold, slightly less than half, you'll be able to pop it. You could do this on turn 2 theoretically. Because I like the 8-year standbys a lot, where theirs is either get hit 5 times or do 5 supers, or enter the turn below 50% HP. So I gave it a little bit extra leeway, 66%, because Broly's the devil. Again, I love just that whole motif. I think it's fun. So you could get this way easier, but it's out of your control. Like, same thing with Broly to an extent, but if you have Broly like a full offensive build, it's not going to be turn 7 by the time you transform. You're going to be transforming, again, potentially as early as turn 3 or as late turn 5. And if you get stunned or sealed or locked off a rotation, then you would get them on turn 7. But that would be very, 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 very rare. This unit could potentially, like, you could be fine, like, never dropping below that threshold at the start of turn, and then all of a sudden you enter a new phase, you're at 67% HP, and then you get one shot. Something like that could happen. Again, I do kind of like some mind games, where, like, potentially making some of your units take a little bit more damage than you need to, or maybe even ruining your rotations, like floating this guy off, could potentially happen a little bit more. But with all the defensive support that this unit is inherently just giving the team, I feel like it could maybe be easy to live some of those devastating shots, like potentially with the extra 80% defensive support, potentially 100% extra defensive support if it's turn 3, and you're running 2 of these guys. Like, a unit might eat 695,000 damage, you might live with just that sliver, but then you're going to be able to activate the standby and transform, and then you get a huge payoff for it. So I feel like, I don't know, just let me know what you think about this kit. It gets a little bit more interesting as we go deeper into it. So for their links, I just gave them a very generic link set because this is a new named character. I don't know what they would get. So I gave them Golden Warrior, Saiyan Warrior Race, Super Saiyans, Fierce Battle, Prepare for Battle, the Saiyan Lineage, and Legendary Power. And then they are on a bunch of categories as well. Even though they only buff the 3 categories, you can put this unit on any Superclass team, and they will pretty much perform exactly the same. So they are on Super Saiyans, Earthbred Fighters, All Out Struggle, Movie Hero, Final Trump Card, Full Power, Joined Forces, Kamehameha, Saviors, Battle of Wits, Powerful Comeback, Bond of Parent and Child, and Power of Wishes. Again, I didn't know what categories to give them, but I looked through every single category. Like, I checked the list 2 or 3 times. I feel very confident that most of those will be on there. I don't think I missed anything. Like, I don't think there would be, like, I don't think there'd be Unconnected Hope. Battle of Fate isn't for movie characters unless you're in Superhero. Like, same with Accelerated Battle. I don't think Accelerated Battle are movie characters outside of Dragon Ball Super Superhero. I might be wrong, but I don't think so. So even though they could theoretically be on those categories, I mean, I just don't see it. But I might be wrong, and if I'm wrong, I will be gladly wrong, because it's always good getting really powerful units on some of those more teams. So, you stand by into Super Saiyan Goku. And this is a standby that can fight back. This is like the Gammas, and this is like Sword of Hope Trunks, or Sword of Cope, as I like to call him, because that unit fucking sucked on release, and he is still trash. So, they get 2 new super attacks here. Again, I didn't really know what to give them. So for the 12 key, I just gave him the Dragon Throw, because I don't think we've ever actually seen the Dragon Throw where you just grab someone by the foot and swing them around. You could do some fun stuff because the planet has all the buildings. You could swing the sprite, like, into a bunch of buildings and then throw them off into the distance, like mimicking Broly's attack where you throw them into the distance. But you could just have Goku doing it with one of his, like, iconic grapples from, like, the video games and stuff. I feel like that would be pretty fun. I don't know. That's just something that I don't think a lot of Dokkan units have. I think that'd be cool. You could also introduce the bite. Just have him. I don't think he bit Broly, but I want to see Goku bite someone in one of these animations as like a counter or something. But it would be a melee, obviously. He would greatly raise attack for 1 turn, cause colossal damage to the enemy, and then it's a guaranteed seal. And then the 18 key would be the full power Super Kamehameha key. Blast super attack. This is the big fuck off super Kamehameha that he does to Broly. Now, Broly in the movie no diffs it, but you could fudge the rules. They do it all the time. But this would massively raise attack for 1 turn, cause mega colossal damage to the enemy, and then you get an attack break on the enemy's next action. His passive skill is This is for everything, just because I love, like, that phrase, this is for everything! I don't know, it's just cool. So, he would stand by for 5 turns, so from the moment that you activate it, you have 5 turns or 3 rotations with this character. He gets 8 ki, 350% attack, and 200% defense at the start of turn. He gets guaranteed guard for 1 turn from his first appearance, and he gets 50% damage reduction for 3 turns from his first appearance. So his very first time he shows up, he's going to have guard and 50% damage reduction, and the next time he comes around, he's going to have 50% damage reduction. The turn after that, he's not going to have any defensive mechanics, okay? Keep that in mind, because this is a unit who's going to be like high risk, high reward, okay? He randomly changes a certain type of key sphere physical excluded to physical. He changes a random type of key sphere physical excluded to rainbow key spheres when there's an extreme class enemy. Superclass allies get 8% attack, defense, and crit chance for 2 turns per key sphere this character obtains. So if you get 5 key spheres with this character, all the units on your team are going to be getting 40% attack, defense, and crit chance for 2 turns, okay? So it's not guaranteed, but like you could potentially go like way higher up. You get 10 key spheres with this guy. You're going to be getting 80% support and 80% chase to crit. Every unit on your team is going to be critting. I might have gone overboard with the crit. You could maybe throw the crit out there, but I thought that would just be fun. It would kind of make up for this unit's weakness because you want to like kind of speed blitz this fight just a little bit once you get to that part. But I think that would be like the craziest support any unit in the game could give. 2-turn support that's that high. The only unit I can think of that even touches that would be like the GT standby, where Vegeta gives 70% offense at the start of turn, and then both of his super attack effects give 50% if he's able to actually super before he gets KO'd. So you could definitely like play around with that, have a lot of fun with just boosting the crap out of your team. So again, even if you lived on a sliver, like let's say again, you just, because of all the defensive support that you have, you eat a super attack in slot 3 for almost 700k, but because this guy has so much HP, you live with the sliver, you enter the start of turn, you're able to transform this guy, and now boom, you're giving every unit on your team 80% support, plus the 40% support, the 2-turn support from the other, like the base form of this character. That's essentially 120% defense. You're almost doubling every unit on your team's defense, which would be really good. Again, high risk, high reward. This character is super effective against all types when key is 20 or more, and then they get guaranteed crit when key is 24. So they're just doing like a lot of damage, which is also kind of the reason why they have a naturally lower attack stat. And then they get an extra 500% attack when performing the finishing attack. So they have 2 finished attacks, one where you meet the condition to do the attack, the other where you don't. The first finished attack is just called Gimme All Your Energy. I would imagine this would just be, instead of everyone giving Goku their energy in the animation, and then Goku, you know, goes and does the big fuck-off attack, it would be like Piccolo and Vegeta just sharing their energy among the 3 Saiyans. So you get 100% HP recovery, and then you just revert back into the base form. So you would just go back into the base form, middle of the turn or whatever, you just have 100% HP. And the condition for that is that it can be performed at any time, as long as you don't have 50 key charges. So this is a standby that is very similar to, like, again, the Boo Duo GT, or the Boo Duo standby, where you collect key spheres, you build up the charge meter, and then you're able to launch a big attack if you actually get the charge meter off. But if you don't hit the requirement, which is 50 key spheres, you just get a full HP recovery. So again, that's just more utility, healage, or whatever that can help you survive in a completely different way. If you get screwed over by orb, RNG, like even though this unit is double orb changing potentially, the paths could still theoretically screw you. I don't know how easy it would be to get to 50 or not, but this is where like the risk kind of comes in, all right? So with the finished attack 2, which is the soul shattering punch, can be performed when the charges are 50 or more, and this is where I kind of make up for it. So each key sphere is 1 charge on the key sphere thing or whatever, but if you get a rainbow key sphere, you would actually get 2. So if you collected 2 orbs, one that was a rainbow and one that was an int orb, for example, you would get 3 charges on the standby charge gauge, okay? So you would want to try to get as many rainbows as possible. So again, I don't know if that makes it too easy, not hard enough, I don't know. But let's say you get 50 or more, you're able to launch the Soul Shattering Punch. So you would temporarily raise attack by 16% per charge, cause super ultimate damage to the enemy, and then you would revert back. So this would be like the most powerful attack in the game theoretically, because you're already having 350% attack and defense at the start of turn. You're getting a temporary 500% attack when you do your finish attack, and then you're getting 50 times 16. I don't know what that is off the top of my head, but that's a lot. That's a lot of damage right there. So this would be like the most damaging thing in the game. But again, high risk, high reward. Let's say you're on turn 5, right? And by turn 5, this unit has no damage reduction. They have no guard, so you have to either make the decision, do I risk putting this unit in slot 3, or do I just go ahead and use the finish attack and I get my 100% HP recovery? Yeah, 50 might have been a little bit too low with the rainbow key sphere thing. I don't know. Let me know if you think it would be too easy, not easy enough. I don't know. But again, I wanted there to be like some mind games or whatever, so that potentially you could go into this form and then end up getting screwed over by just having bad orb RNG. You're not able to actually do the big fuck off attack. That would be like a guaranteed one shot. But to counteract that, you could just get the full HP recovery. It'd be a Sensu Bean effect, essentially. But you don't heal when you do it. So if you do the big super attack, yeah, you're probably killing a phase or whatever, but you might enter the next attacking turn a new phase of a boss at a very low HP threshold. So, again, there's mind games. So let me know what you think about that. The only thing I changed with his links is I gave him Kamehameha as opposed to the Saiyan lineage because he does the Kamehameha in his 18 key. So that's the really only change in terms of links. But there we have it, fellas. That is what I think could potentially be, or what would be like some fun ideas for what the Worldwide Download Celebration Part 1 LR's kits could look like. Let me know what you think about them and if I went too overboard or not overboard enough. Do you think that these kits even fit these characters? Like, do you think that it would be appropriate for this trio to be like a support unit? Obviously, I mean, I feel like everyone wants Broly just to be, haha, big numbers do damage. But I gave him damage reduction and all the mechanics where you actually have to play chess while you're playing with your big damage dealers. I don't know. I feel like I did a pretty good job overall. I might have got a little overboard with some of them and not making them balanced, but who cares? It's the Worldwide Download Celebration. We can have fun. And if you want to see a video of me comparing and contrasting these kits with the actual kits when they get revealed, I believe the live stream is on the 27th at 10 p.m. my time, and then the banners will drop at 2:30 a.m. that same day for Eastern Standard Time players. If I'm not wrong, I think that's what's going to happen. So potentially, it'd be a few days into the celebration before I could get to do a video like that. But if you'd like to see something like that, yeah, for sure, let me know. But that is going to be all for this time, guys. I have been the Super27. I'm a variety Twitch streamer and an up-and-coming PNG YouTuber trying to make it big in the world. I have a Twitter, a Twitch, a TikTok, and a YouTube, the links to which can all be found in the description of this video. And while you're down there, don't forget to like, subscribe, share me around, and leave me a comment. Positive, negative, or indifferent. I would love just any sort of interaction I can get from you guys. But that's going to be all for now. I'm now going to move every piece of furniture in my room, every piece of trash, every piece of clutter. I have to find this fucking spider, dude. It's actually so big, and I'm now anxious that I haven't seen it for an hour. It could have gone anywhere. I've been looking at the corner of my eye this whole time. I haven't seen it. But it was huge. Which is, I don't know if it's one of them jumping spiders, but I wish me luck. If you guys don't hear from me for the next, like, 6 days, just assume that the spider took me out, alright? Alright. But that is going to be all for this time, guys. So, as always, I've been the Super27, and I am signing off.